Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back. Kellen here with Droid Life. So we're diving into a feature today on the Samsung Galaxy S8 that was, well, it was one of the flagship features that was shown off during the unveiling of the phone, except it hasn't been available until right now. Yes, I'm talking about Bixby Voice, the voice portion of the personal assistant, or whatever you want to call Bixby on this phone. But anyway, it's available now to those of us who signed up for the Early Access Program a week ago, and we want to give it a first run. We haven't played with Bixby Voice up until this point, so yeah, let's just dive into this. This is a first look at Bixby on the Galaxy S8. All right, so first things first, though, you want to make sure you're signed up for this program in order to get Bixby Voice, and then you actually have to update a whole bunch of apps in order to get it to work as well. So we'll drop a link to the Early Access Program just below that like button. Be sure to sign up there. Samsung could have some more openings available. And then once you've done that, you actually need to go into your Galaxy Apps app and then make sure you're up to date with everything. So when you first load this up, you'll tap this little menu button up here, tap on My Apps, tap on Update, and you're looking for updates because Samsung did push a whole bunch of updates this week to Bixby apps, and it brought support for Bixby Voice. So make sure you're all up to date there, and you can back out. And then if you're accepted into the program and you tap on that Bixby button, it'll probably prompt you right away the first time you load it again. It did for me, and I had to walk through this whole setup process where it wanted to learn my voice and went through this training thing, and it also told me what it could do and all of that stuff. And then you'll notice, because I've gone through all of that, I now have a third icon up top here. So a little Bixby icon, there's the Bixby Vision one next to it, and then of course that reminders. But so you do have a third icon if Bixby Voice is nice and enabled. I'll also show you that I did have a notice that said welcome to the Early Access Program. So that's there. It says welcome to it, gives me a link to the user guide and all of that. But the big thing is just walking through the setup and getting it ready to go with your voice. So in order to use it, once you've set it up, you just say, "Hi, Bixby." And then you'll notice down here, this little icon loads up and it's listening to me right now because I said those magic words. You can also launch it with the Bixby button, of course. So a single press just gets you into the Bixby screen. But if you want to launch it from wherever without actually saying the magic words, you can just long press it. And then you'll see down here, it loads it up and it starts listening as I'm holding it. And the minute I let go, it stops listening to me. So you can control it all via voice or by holding in that button a little bit as well. So obviously you can do a whole bunch of things here. If I press this down, I'm actually going to just tap on the full screen button it shows down there. And this is sort of your Bixby UI. It might look like Siri or maybe Google Assistant-ish a little bit, but you can see it's bringing me a whole bunch of possible commands I may want to do right here. You can swipe over actually in this panel and it'll give you some other things, like maybe some of your favorites that you may want to try or some of the favorites it recommends. And these are all different things it can do. And you can see this list is enormous. So you're going to want to dive in here and really go through this. There's a history button up here so you can actually go through and look at the history you've done and all of the voice commands you've done in there. Let me just dive back in. There's some other stuff like sharing, and you can adjust the Bixby Voice volume, and you can get back to Bixby Home. You can also dive into settings. So in settings, this stuff is important. This is where you can actually turn it off if you want. So there's a toggle there. And I'll show you another way to get into settings. You can just hit the Bixby button over here, tap up here, tap in settings, and then scroll down, and that's actually where your toggle is. So you can turn it off or on there. You can adjust the background color, and this is getting a little interesting here in a second, but you do have two choices up front. You'll see there's a handful of others with a little lock over them, and it says you need to level up in order to unlock this color, and that'll make more sense in just a second here. So you'll see voice feedback in here, which allows you to either have Bixby just do text feedback or actually talk back to you. Feedback style, you can decide if you just want really short responses or longer ones that tell you exactly everything that Bixby has done. There's even a toggle in here for dictation on the keyboard so that as your keyboard's open, you can actually hold in the Bixby button and then it'll just go right into voice dictation. There's some other apps, or there's some other settings in here. You'll definitely want to go through and fine tune this experience. But to get into further stuff, the apps with voice and the Bixby Lab stuff are definitely some things you want to go into. So when you go into, if you just tap on apps with voice, it actually brings you into the labs area as well if you keep scrolling. So you do have both of those. But this is where you'll find out all the examples of things you can do with Bixby. So if I just tap on gallery, it lists me out all the different commands that I can do within the gallery, which is kind of insane. In fact, this stuff is pretty overwhelming, but some of them are like find pictures taken in New York. And it also tells you up top the sort of keywords you need in order to dive in. So I would say open gallery followed by whatever this is. So open gallery, find pictures taken in New York. And so there are tons and tons of these, like delete travel album, add the most recent picture taken in New York to favorites. You can get really, really fine-tuned in terms of the commands you're doing in here. You can say go to the URL for the most recent screenshot. I mean, these are some things that you can do just within the gallery. Now, of course, this is settings where you can open up Wi-Fi settings, turn those off and on. Bluetooth is obviously a thing. Turn on your dual audio, show your data usage. I mean, you can kind of command your phone to do almost anything with Bixby, which is pretty impressive. Obviously, camera is another thing. You turn your flash off and on, take a picture, record a video. And again, you would say open camera, take a picture, and then it would open the camera and take a picture for you. Same thing works with alarms and what's the weather like. There's also just some straight commands you can do where you don't have to tell it to open an app. So turn the volume up on your phone, restart your phone even, turn your flashlight on or off. You can even restart into safe mode with a Bixby command, which is kind of nuts. And so those are some of those just direct commands. There's also some other things like go back. So if you're on one screen, you want to go back a screen, you can tell Bixby to go back. Seems faster to maybe just hit the button, but you understand. You can have it take a screenshot. I could go on and show you all of these, but it's a bit much. This is one of those things you're going to have to go through and look at this all yourself. So you can have it show notifications from Gmail, open the notification panel. Open music as a pop-up, close music, close all of your recent apps. There's a whole bunch of things in here you can do. Now, if we scroll down into the labs, this is sort of the Bixby experiments, they're calling it. So these are the additional apps that they're working on stuff, but maybe not quite as stable as, say, all of this experience up top with these apps. So in here, you'll find additional Samsung apps, like finding documents. You can actually go in and find things through your My Files, or pull up the voice recorder, or search within the email app or the Samsung calendar. Now you also find additional apps that are third-party apps like Facebook, YouTube's on here, Instagram's on here, Google Play Music, obviously, since there's a partnership there, Google Maps, Gmail, Uber, and so you've got a lot of stuff. So Instagram, for example, you could have it show you posts. You could tell it to just search for New York. And it'll then do that. And it kind of does it step by step. So one of the things I wanted to show you, though, is with these things, you can actually tap on them from the examples and it'll actually run through that for you. So if I say create new contact with David, if I want to see it do that, I can actually tap on that and it'll actually run through that example for me. And you can see it should then pop up a contact, and I haven't used my contacts yet, so it's not going to do that. Of course, you didn't just come here to watch me tap on things and have it run through some of these Bixby things. So let's actually use our voice to do some of this stuff, right? So again, you can do this stuff from anywhere. All you have to do is say, hi, Bixby, turn the flashlight on.
All right, the flashlight's on.
Turn the flashlight off. So simple commands there. And I did that by using, the keyword to launch Bixby, but you could have done that by holding the button down, like open Wi-Fi settings.
Okay, here are your Wi-Fi settings.
So in Wi-Fi settings, go to storage settings. Go to storage settings. So I've definitely had some issues with it understanding, obviously, everything I say. But there it did go to my storage settings. Now, one of the things you'll notice is it actually goes through step by step what you're doing. So rather than just firing up directly into my storage settings, it actually went into the sort of device management stuff and then went to that. And I'll show you, there's no better example of that, I think, than Google Play Music. So if I go open Google Play Music and play my thumbs up playlist. I'll show you a little bit closer here. So it opens that, and then it goes, okay, let me find your music library here, and it actually goes home for some weird reason, but then it slides out the menu again, goes back into my library, finds my thumbs up playlist, and then, now it's playing it. So I'll pause that. But so it's actually kind of fun to watch it go step by step. Now, it's obviously not the quickest thing when it does that, but it's actually kind of cool that it's listening to everything you're doing and then going step by step. So anyways, I don't want to keep this video too long, but the idea here is that you can long press over there to load it. You can use your voice to load it, and then you can control almost anything on your phone. So obviously some of these other apps you use are going to need to get support, but Samsung's off to a decent start in terms of their own apps, and then they're already working with some third-party apps like Facebook and YouTube and things like that. And again, like Instagram, for example, like you could say, post this photo in gallery or search for New York, and you would do that by saying, open Instagram and search for New York. And so then it will load Instagram, and then it jumps to the search page, and then it actually searches for New York. So it's kind of a cool way to just control some things. Now, I don't know if we're going to get used to doing this and watching it go through a lot of those steps, because some of the stuff's just quicker to do if you just do it, on your own. So I did also want to show you that if you're, say, in somewhere where you would need a keyboard and you have the Samsung keyboard up, that shortcut where you can just long press on the Bixby button and it automatically flips into dictation mode, and then you let go and it stops and it jumps back into your keyboard. Now, I know there is a microphone button on the Samsung keyboard, but it is kind of handy with your hand already there to just hold that and launch it up, start talking to it and have it dictate, and then just let go. It is kind of just a nifty little trick. Overall, though, Bixby's just going to be one of those things that you're going to have to get used to using again. And you can fine tune a whole bunch of different things in it. So again, if I launch into Bixby and go to My Bixby and I scroll down here, there's this make your own commands section. And so in this section, I've already set up a couple, but what it allows you to do is use sort of shorter commands to do more difficult things or something like that. Now, I've set up some really simple ones, like in order to turn the flashlight on, all I have to do is say flashlight and it'll turn the flashlight on. Or if I want it off, instead of saying turn flashlight off, I just say flashlight off. But you can do a whole bunch of stuff like that. Like how I launched that playlist earlier, I could just probably say thumbs up and it would then launch my whole thumbs up playlist. So let's see if I can actually go in and find that. So this one right here. So if I just say playlist. So now if I just use the command playlist, it'll say open, it'll do the open Google playlist, Google Play Music playlist. So let's just try it. Playlist. And you can see it down there. It will now do open Google Play Music and play my thumbs up playlist, and it'll walk through all of that and get me there. So you can customize the commands in order to do more complex things with just say one thing. So you'll have to tweak those again and figure out exactly how you want some of that stuff to work. And being thousands of commands, it seems like that might take a while. The other thing I did want to show you is that you can do this with the phone hands-free, sitting down. I can just say, "Hi Bixby," and then that will fire up from the lock screen, and you can then go through and do some commands from there. I do believe it breaks the OK Google command, so if you do have that set up, it will break that. You can see I set it and nothing happened there, so keep that in mind. Bixby does kind of just take over, so it's up to you whether or not you want to use it, but we'll have probably lots more on this because it is a pretty complex thing. One thing I will say is when you compare it to the Google Assistant is more of using Google and the power of Google and Google search and all of that database and that sort of knowledge graph and all of that stuff that Google has, whereas this is more fine-tuned controls over your phone. So from opening apps and navigating to a specific spot, editing videos and launching voice recorders and things like that, that's what Bixby Voice is doing rather than just being an assistant that helps you use Google products. So anyways, long video, I know. Hopefully you guys have dove into this and had a chance to figure out Bixby Voice a little bit. Either way, if you have comments or questions, let us know. We're Droid Life. Peace.